Michael Cass. This is Culture Confluence, where culture and art meet. Today I have Mwanasi Loongo from Prince George, currently Prince George, but you were from
Zambia.
Yeah. And you are a
Comedian. Yeah.
Stand-up comedian. I admire stand-up comedians because, man, I don't know. How do you stand up there? And is there always that fear of people may not laugh?
That fear is there, but you need to come up with strategies that make you comfortable, right? Like you need to know what to do. If people don't laugh, then what? Then what next, right? But for me, what I do is I have set up my set. I always set up my set in a way that I need to get a laugh the first minute that I'm on stage. So get a big laugh when you start. Get everybody on your side as you start your set, and then that brings me right to my comfort zone. Yeah, so that's my secret. Just as I get on the stage, try to say something really funny, and then get everybody on your side, and then from there you can just go at it.
This morning I was listening to your WhatsApp thing, your bit about WhatsApp. Everybody starts a WhatsApp group. Somebody's born, they start a WhatsApp group. And one thing I really liked, and people need to really listen for this, is you're like five out of every 5 people, 6 start a WhatsApp group. Yeah.
Yep.
So from Zambia, what brought you to Canada, but specifically what brought you to like Prince George?
What brought me to Canada is a school. So I So I applied for to come to school to UNBC, and I got accepted. And then so I had a few places, right? I had US. I have planned, like I have siblings in the US, but I don't have any family in Canada. And so I applied for school in Michigan, and then I applied UNBC as well. And then looking at the 2 options, when I got my acceptance at UNBC, I was like, I think this is it. Yeah, I'm just gonna go and try this out. I just wanted to try something of my own, right? Like I already have siblings on the other side, and I'm like, I gotta try my own life, my own new place. And I've been here for 11 years.
11 years.
Yeah.
We met because I had started with Shaw as Shaw Spotlight, and we met at my house because you used to do the cable, now you handle all the satellite work, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then I was talking to producer Jonathan Valaroso, and he mentioned that you were a stand-up comic, and I'm like, okay, I gotta check this out. I'm really curious, and it fits right into what Culture Confluence is about. And
thank you.
And when I listened to it, like Jonathan had sent me some YouTube things, and I was listening to your routine and some of your routines, and I'm like, this guy's funny, right?
Thank you.
And family friendly funny.
Yeah, I try to be family friendly. It's really hard to go that route, and it's really sad. But when I started, I was all super clean. But now I have a few spots that are like, okay, that's not really family friendly. And it's really hard to stay on that road though, right? Because at times when you're writing, you're on a roll. Like, okay, this is good, and then you're like, okay, what next, right? And then you're like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna try something really easy. Dirty jokes are always easy, right? You're like, all right, I'm gonna try something easy just because I'm kind of stuck now. Right?
Yeah.
And then, you try to force yourself back into the clean routine again. You're like, all right, I'm going to go back to this side of the thing again, and then try again.
So was that a conscious decision, or is that like a cultural decision as far as the cleanliness of the comedy?
It is kind of both. So here's the thing. So when you say I've done shows in Zambia, right?
Yeah.
When you're in Zambia, dirty material doesn't fly. Like it's I guess conservative Christian nation kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's Christian and spiritual, right? So when you say I've done shows in Zambia, right? When you're in Zambia, dirty material doesn't fly. Like it's I guess conservative Christian nation kind of deal. You know, it's Christian and spiritual, right? So when you say I've done shows in Zambia, right? When you're in Zambia, dirty material doesn't fly. Like it's Christian and spiritual, right? So you have to be really good in how you put in your dirty bits in there, but you have to be clean. Your material has to be clean for people to share, to even share it on their Facebook or whatever platforms they use. So, but then if you met me like 10 years ago, I had probably never said the F word before. So, and that was so easy for me to just get into the clean comedy, right? Because I even in my day-to-day conversation, like I rarely use swear words. Like if you try to compare like this is, I found this funny when I moved here too, right? Like when I was talking to a few friends from my school, right? In my classes, like if something was nice, it was F awesome. If something was bad, it was F bad. You know what I mean? So they can use that word for all things, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but if you are talking to somebody in my country, they rarely use unless they are really upset. If you are really upset, then the bad words will come out. They're really, really bad words.
So if you're in Zambia, right, if somebody swears, it's like, this is serious.
It is bad. Yes.
I was doing a little homework, and because I wasn't sure where Zambia was actually in relation to some of the other countries I know in Africa. Interesting, the shape of the country, first of all, and how the borders. I mean, that's something I'll have to look into because I find it curious. And I was reading about like it's relatively politically stable, you said a Christian based country. Like they said, 92% of the population is.
That's correct.
That's really. I found that really interesting, and I can't pronounce the name for Angel Falls.
Oh, the Victoria Falls.
Or Victoria Falls.
Yeah, which is Mosi Otunya. So,
right.
which is the smoke that thunders.
The smoke that thunders.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, hey, I like maybe this is a spot that could end up on my bucket list.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. If you do have time, in your lifetime, you should go there. I actually grew up 2 kilometers away from the Victoria Falls.
Really? So
I pretty much went there probably a couple times a month. Like it was, and because I grew up in my brother used to work for the power corporation. Yeah. And the water of the Victoria Falls goes to their plant and they produce power and all that. So we had free passes. Like all the kids that grew up in that area there had free passes to go into the Victoria Falls, and it was awesome. Yeah.
Lots of national parks.
Yes.
Or no? Well, I mean.
So
lots of parks.
Yes, lots of parks. Lots of parks and lots of animals. Like at my house, every morning you would see baboons. Like monkeys would just come every morning. Like every morning you wake up and there's just lots of them. And you have to try to be careful.
They can be pretty. Baboons can be. I wouldn't want to cross one.
Yeah. Those were always nasty. If you're eating food or you have anything, try to be inside. But that's where I grew up. Yeah. So
I know it's funny because I tell people, like here in Prince George, of course we have bear coming in to the and deer and moose, and I think we're so special, but I fail to realize that, say, for other countries or other places, they may have their unique wildlife wandering into the city, like you say with. And you were also talking before we started the podcast here. You were talking to Ellie Klasner, and you were saying something about camping. What was it? The camping thing?
Yeah. So the camping thing. I was just trying to explain to him how things that Canadians find fun and things that are just okay, or in Zambia, right?
Yeah.
So for instance, people here go out camping, where there's no electricity, there's nothing. You're just out in the country doing, whatever, but we never do that in Zambia. That's not a common practice. Like tourists come there and they go camping. We don't do that. I mean, life is already hard.
Do you laugh? Yeah, life is hard enough. Why would I?
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you laugh at the tourists? Well, come on.
We kind of understand. We're like, all right, I guess so. It's white people stuff. The locals don't do that,
But hey, I mean, it's a good business too.
Oh, it is.
Tourism
is a big deal. Like, if you're in Livingstone, which is the tourist capital of Zambia, like that's their main source of income. Like it's all tourists, at the peak of the Victoria Falls, when it's super high, you would be surprised. Like people, like every second there's somebody coming in there. Like it's packed there.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So
it's unfortunate. I mean, it's great. It's great for the economy, but I wonder what kind of, there's that thing like how much is too much? How much tourism is too much tourism, and what kind of impact it has?
Right? Yes. So that's a good question. How much is too much? We do appreciate all the tourists that we get, right? But the tourists introduce some of the extreme stuff that people don't do, that regular people wouldn't do, right? Mm-hmm. Like right at the Victoria Falls, there's what they call the Devil's Pool. You should look that up. So it's basically on the edge of the waterfall, and people go in this little pool, and they, like they go down. Oh,
so they can look over while they're in the pool?
Exactly. Yes. Now that is risky stuff.
I think I might like to try that, but I don't know.
Yes, I want to try that. No. Yeah, so so tourists do all that kind of stuff, and then the locals now are like, well, we should try this. But the sad part about that is, again, this number might be small, but every year at least a couple people fall into the Victoria Falls, and once you're going there, you're gone.
Yeah,
it's like it's deep, like probably I think about 100 meters deep.
So there's probably no chance of finding you after that.
Well, once the water levels go down, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They've recovered a few people there. You would have to get like a helicopter or something to try to retrieve somebody when they're down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go back to when you came to Canada and you went. What did you study at UNBC?
Marketing. Yeah. So I did something different from what people do. So originally I came to UNBC, and then I was at UNBC for a couple of semesters, and then I decided to go to CNC so that I can graduate, work, make some money, and go back to UNBC. So that's what I did. So So I graduated with a marketing degree from UNBC.
Marketing degree. Yeah. That's a tough gig. That's a tough thing to get into, marketing.
Yes, it is. Yes. So, again, just like most business jobs, it is really hard to get into a business career. Mm-hmm. Really, you probably have, and like everything else, you have to start from somewhere. But and that's one of the challenges that I faced myself when I after school, right? Like I was already making enough not enough money. It's never enough money. I was already making good. I was already making a decent income doing what I was doing. So I was lucky when I moved here after working for a few companies. In 2016, I got on with I started working in the tech industry, right? Like I started with Bell and all of that, and that really helped, But moving away from an installer's wage to go back into business wasn't easy. Because I would have had to take a big cut in my income to do that, right? So it is. It's the school isn't bad. The school is easy, but just to get into that industry is hard.
I mean, pretty much the same challenges that everybody has. We need to make decisions like, right. Okay, am I going to do this for this much? And
that's right. And that's a good thing about this country though. Like you have opportunities. You have choices. You know, you can choose what path you want, right? You can choose if you want to go work in the bank, you want to go into the business industry or business route, you can do it. If you want to stay in the trades or tech, you can choose to do that too, right? But if I was back home, that's a really tough decision, right? Like well, there's no decision. You have to go with what you have.
So the opportunities aren't the same there.
No,
as they are here.
it's not.
Yeah,
It's not.
Yeah.
You know, when I moved here, when I was going to school, I was working in retail. And in retail,
oh my goodness!
Yeah,
oh my god!
you know, at that time, I was probably making about $11 an hour.
Yeah.
Which if you work a day and a half, that is probably about $150, which is somebody's monthly wage working in retail in
Zambia.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yes. You know.
And and I say, like, I don't think retail workers, it's a tough job. And I don't think they get paid a fair wage for the amount of crap that they have to put up with.
No, they don't. No, they don't. It's not easy. No, I mean, people come there with their own frustrations, and then they go through their own shopping anxieties as well, and then they put all that on the poor person that's trying to help them, right?
I'm just standing here, man. So when you write, and how often do you write? Do you set aside like time, like, okay, today I'm going to write, or tomorrow I'm going to write? I know for myself, when I have to say, okay, I can't watch Netflix. I'll watch it after I'm done working on this project that I'm working on.
Yeah. No, so you know what? With me, it's different. So I don't sit down to actively write new material. You know, I will sit down to work on material that I've already kind of have an idea about. Mm-hmm. So I mostly get most of my jokes while I'm working. So if say I'm doing physical, if I'm washing dishes or sweeping or doing anything at home, that just brings all the jokes. Like I have no idea how that works. Like I'll be washing dishes and then something just comes and I'm like, oh, that's actually that's pretty good, right? So I put it in my phone, and then afterwards, you know, maybe on the weekend is when I sit down. I'm like, all right, so let me go through my phone and see what I came up with this week, right? Yeah. And then I go through my list. I'm like, all right, this is a good one, and then I just, you know, write it out and see what it sounds like, and then after that make sure I, you know, see what the punchline would be and all that, and that's my writing process.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So do you say you put it in your phone? You don't have a notebook? Do you have a notebook that you carry around?
I do have a notebook, but my phone is always handy. I always, you know, even when I'm cleaning or washing dishes, I have my phone in my pocket, right? Yeah. So I just type it in there, you know, and then once I sit down on the weekend, that's when I put it down in my notebook.
So when you approach a joke, is there like, so there's the lead up, right? That, I don't know. I'm just sort of I'm just hypothesizing here. Yeah. So there's a lead up, then the joke, then the punchline, and then a segue into another. Like, how do you put together your show?
So.
Is this like a tough question or
no?
Okay, great.
That's a good question. Yeah. So it depends on the type of joke, right? Yeah. So some jokes and that's the thing. There's short jokes and there is long jokes. So for short jokes, they are pretty short. Like they are probably like 30 seconds or 1 minute, and it's basically a couple words and a punchline, really. Right? And those are really easy. You don't really need to work hard on those. But there is for instance when I'm doing jokes about my kids, that's really easy.
Kids are easy to joke about.
That one is really easy because I can just move from talking about potty training to talking about comparing my kids to my brother's kids, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's that one is, so the transition is really easy. So some of them like that one is probably about maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah. Which is good, right? So I'll start with how I'll start with like say childbirth, right? Like one of my jokes, I make fun about like being present while your kids are getting birth, right? Like that's a thing that people do here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and back home, even now, it's not that's not really big. Like it's the women that go in to help with all that. So, I make a joke about how I was there and then I passed out, right? And then from there, that's just an easy transition to how we are raising that said child. And how we are potty training a child. Right? How here you give incentives for a child that is being potty trained to go to the bathroom. How like it's I don't know how to explain the process, but I just with some of those jokes, it's so easy to just transition. Like I can just go and it'll be like, okay, set up, punch, set up, punch, set up, punch, set up, punch, right? Yeah.
How long are your sets usually?
So it depends on where we are. So if I'm doing a one-man show, then I'll probably do 45 to an hour. If I'm doing a show with I recently have been traveling with Fanjo, who is he's a Chinese comedian.
Yeah.
And we split it. We do 30 or we do 45. It just depends on what the setup for the gig is, right?
I haven't found much current material like I know you're on Facebook, so we'll give people your Facebook page, and it's Mwanasi Loongo, Loongo. So you Google that, or you go on Facebook and look for it.
Yeah.
And you have your own page.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, you have your personal one, and then you have your own page. That's Mwanasi Loongo, a comedian.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And you have some videos on there. I was like, this is funny, and and like I said before, I'm really impressed that you keep it really clean, because most comics I watch, say on Netflix or anything like that, it can be a little extreme, right?
Yeah.
So when you're doing a show, and you're right in there, and do you ever improv? Do you ever have something come up and you're like, oh, that and it just comes out?
That happens sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
So that happens sometimes, and that's really good. So there's the shows where things are going really great, and then at times the audience will actually kind of guide you at times, and that is awesome, right? Like you'd be on the stage telling a joke, and then somebody from the audience just shouts a random word, and then you just go with it.
Oh yeah,
and that happens once a while, and like I think it's just a connection. When you're able to connect with your audience like that, that is like one of the best shows that you can have.
I worked in theater for a while, and there's that, and when there's that connection with the audience, even though I wasn't on stage, I was backstage. I could feel that connection because those actors were starting to play off of the energy from the audience. So I was going to ask you, somebody shouts out a word. I was going to ask you how you deal with a heckler. I don't know.
So for me, mostly I try to avoid them. So because it's so. For instance, I play small towns, right? I play. Well, I've done medium to small towns. In big towns, that's fine. With hecklers in big cities, that's fine. You can deal with them or push back at them, right? Which is good. But with small towns, it's really it's complicated.
I never tried that.
Yeah, I've done, like, I did a show in Fort St. James. It was like an amazing show, really good show.
Yeah.
But one guy almost ruined it, because I was talking about guns and Americans, right?
Yeah.
And then this guy was already super drunk.
Oh, okay.
Then he got really upset about me talking about guns, which is okay. He's got his own opinion about guns and all that. But he was really coming at me really hard. But I tried to push back, and then I kind of hinted at the guys at the owners that the guy was being a ridiculous,
belligerent.
Yes. But they couldn't do anything about him because he was a regular customer that knows. So it depends. So guys like that in small towns, I just try to avoid them. I just carry on.
Yeah.
If they they push back negativity, I just try to move on. You know, I try to avoid them. That's it.
Yeah. That's interesting. I never would have thought there was a difference, but it makes complete sense.
Yes.
When it's a small town or a small city and a venue that and I say about Prince George, it may be 78,000 people, but it's a small 78,000 people, and somebody knows somebody who knows somebody, right?
But I mean, Prince George is better though. Prince George is for that. I think it's on the medium to big city. I think. But for the small towns, they know everyone, right?
Yeah.
But they also know when a guy whose name is Bill is always ridiculous. They'll be like, "Come on, Bill," you know what I mean. Then at times, if they are already on your side, they'll be able to control their friend because they already know that their friend is always ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if he's too drunk, then he won't listen to them too, right?
True. I can tell you that from experience. So are you going on the road now? Do you go on the road on weekends or
no,
what's happening?
No, last time I haven't been on the road probably almost 8 months now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did a couple shows. I did actually that show I did was the Camp Fest.
Yeah.
It's a Camp Festival.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I did that one last October, and I actually haven't been on the road since then. It's since COVID, it's just been hard to get organized again.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
I guess I may have spent all my capital. I don't know, but we are planning on doing north and west of BC in about October. It's still in the planning stages. We'll do. We'll probably start out in Prince George again and go all the way to Fort Nelson. Yeah, Fort Nelson. Yeah, and then we'll go all the way to Prince Rupert again, and then from there we'll try to do Alberta again. So it's still in the planning stages. Yeah.
Do you change your show when you go to Alberta?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I only ask that because Alberta is more maybe a little bit more to the right on the political spectrum, right?
And that is really interesting. Yes. So again, Alberta is it's
different.
It is different. That's what I'll tell you. It's different. But again, you'll be surprised. Depending on where you are in Alberta, will give you a different kind of show, right? So if you are in Edmonton will be great. Calgary will be great. Jasper will be great. Edson.
Oh, well, tough.
For me, that's that audience that I worked for. Actually, Edson and Hinkton, those two were tough for me. I have no idea why, but not only did I have the challenges, but I traveled with another comedian who happens to be Métis, and he makes jokes about he does a comparison of how Métis people are treated and all that stuff. Yeah. Like Hinkton and Edson did not appreciate most.
Oh,
yeah.
So are there things? So we'll touch on that a little bit. So in your act, do you? So we've reached a stage sort of in our social progression where, as a white person myself, I'll make jokes about white guys, right? Like I call myself a lot of times an old white guy, right? So, but there are certain jokes, certain tropes that I won't even approach.
Yeah.
Do you use, like, say you're the Métis comedian, he would make jokes about Métis comparing white to, do you do that with people of color versus white people? Do you get into that at all, that comparison, or?
A little bit, yes. So I don't know if it's a little bit or a lot. but I love to compare cultures.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I would talk about let's see. So I'll compare how something like I'll compare what the Canadian culture looks, how the Canadian culture looks at things, and how the Zambian culture would look at things. Right? I try not to go into too political topics.
Yeah.
So that's my. I'll talk about the gun laws. I know that's political. I'll talk about things like that.
What is it? Sex, politics, and religion. Those are the three things.
Yes. I will not talk about religion.
Yeah. That's a touchy one too, right?
Yeah. Sex. I'll probably talk about a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Religion, no. Politics, a little bit about politics. Culture differences. I think culture differences are okay. But if people don't want to talk about, if people want accept, if people don't want to talk about rejecting talking about culture differences, then that's a big problem. Like how do you learn? I believe we learn about talking about looking at other people's cultures.
I agree 100%.
So I should be able to share about my perspective on some of the culture things without people getting upset. Right? And I'm okay if somebody talks about my country or talks about Africa and some of the culture things that they've seen or experienced. I'm okay with that. Because that's how it is. That's the reality of. That's the reality. As long as, I think in a respectful way. Like I'm curious. I'm like, oh man, this is good. What I've done is that when I go to like every community that I go to, if there's a local event or I always go to those things because I want to learn. Yeah. Right. Like when we were in Lillooet. And there was a powwow there, and we enjoyed it there. Like it was an amazing experience. Yeah, and it kind of brings it kind of brought me kind of home. Kind of, I have no idea, but the indigenous people of Canada actually do share lots of common things with my Sala culture, my Zambian culture. Yeah, which is really interesting, right? So far away, but we have so much that we share, right? Yeah, and that's what I do. Special thanks to Mwanasi Loongo for stopping by and joining me on this episode of Culture Confluence. If you want to check out Mwanasi's comedy, go to YouTube and look for Mwanasi Loongo, MWANASI LOONGO, or you can check him out on Facebook, same name, Mwanasi Loongo. The theme song for Culture Confluence is performed by Prince George Jazz Ensemble, Navaz. This episode of Culture Confluence is recorded at the Arts North podcast studio and produced by Arts North in association with Studio 2880 and CFR Radio.